Hi Noteboard Gamers and welcome back to Noteboard Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Now in today's video I'm going to be previewing an utterly insane but wonderfully fun game called Conquest Princess. It comes to Gamefound on the 30th of May. The link will be in the description below and it's designed by Seppy Yoon and brought to us by Fight in a Box Game. And what is Conquest Princess? If you're a sci-fi nerd, if you're an anime nerd, it's all of your dreams come true. And most importantly, if you're a fashion nerd and you like sci-fi and anime, then you're absolutely going to love this. This is fashion. This is fashion is power. This is fashion is power in outer space. This is fashion is power in outer space with a giant robot, with Star Trek type themes, with loads of Easter eggs thrown in. It is a 1 to 4 player, fully cooperative game where you are going to be taking part in some intergalactic missions to rebuild the Conquest Princess and then go on some other missions and then eventually do a big boss battle. And what is the Conquest Princess? It's a giant robot. And you're not on the Conquest Princess, your characters are on the Tiara. What does Tiara stand for? The Temporal Interdimensional Armed Response Agency. That's what Tiara stands for. And your 4 agents that you play in these, whether you're playing 1 player or 2, 3 or 4 players, you're always going to play all 4 agents, are on the Tiara. And in the first mission after the training mission, what's happened is the Conquest Princess has been broken up and scattered, basically, and you're going to have to try and collect all these parts of the Conquest Princess together so you can do the other missions. Now, out of the box, the game comes with a minimum of 4 missions. There's a training mission, which is called Captain Ashi is Marooned. Now, I say there are Easter eggs in there. Captain Ashi is Marooned, Kobayashi Maru. For any Star Trek fans out there, you'll get that reference there. And that gives you some of the game mechanics. And then the first mission, what's going to happen is you're going to have to go out and, say, kind of collect bits of your robots together and also rescue your kind of pet co-pilots as well at the same time. There's another couple of missions, and they can be played in a campaign-style way. You can link them all together if you want, or they're effectively kind of game modes, if you like, so you can play them all individually in any order that you want, basically, or just or just play them as one-offs as well. So it's really adaptable that way. So with the prototype that I've got, of course, this is a prototype copy, which means that all of this, the components are definitely not final. There comes a training mission, and which is Captain Ashi is Marooned, and then the mission number 1, the standard mission, which I will tell you what that's called. That is called the Pet Rescue. The advanced mission, which is the next mission, is the Dark Portal, and then the boss battle is the Mirror Dimension. So that's the kind of the third and final mission, which, yeah, if you get there or if you just play it on its own, it's going to be tough to beat, because even this mission is pretty tough to beat. So as I say, in the game, you're going to play these agents, all cooperative agents. They're all got their own individual kind of abilities as well, and throughout the game, you're going to be collecting bits of the Conquest Princess. I say it's a bag building game, so what you've got is a big bag of tokens that you're going to add to and take from, etc., and pull out. And they've got various things on there which allow you to have hits against bad guys and aliens, etc. But you're also going to be building up your fashion, your kind of wardrobe, your fashion as well, because fashion is power in this game, and various bits that you add to your fashion, if you like, to your wardrobe area or to your characters, will increase their abilities. They may have single time use or kind of enduring uses as well, as you get these particular items to add to there, be that in your helmet, your hands, your back, or your boots. There is a power deck, and that power deck is kind of cards that help you kind of upgrade. But when that power deck runs out, that is your timer, basically. And when that runs out, that's it, that's game over. So you have a timer in a power deck, and you also have these event decks as well. So each mission comes with its own event deck, and at the end of each round, You're going to choose one of either 1 or 2 cards that are out, and it can be 1 or 2 depending what happens during the round that you're playing. You're going to choose one of those, and they're going to have certain effects like moving parts of these boards that I'll talk about in a second, aliens attacking you on the planets that you're on, or attacking your ship, or maybe also there are some critical, critical events that will happen, which are one-time events, which are always a negative, or generally always negative for you. And then you still have to draw another card after that as well. There are, I say, it's a bag builder, so you're going to have these tokens which you pull out, and you're going to place them, whether they're hits or whether they give you power accessories. And the aim of the game is to collect power cubes as well. Now, in the prototype I got, it didn't come with any power cubes, and I thought, what goes best with fashion that I can use for power cubes? So I have some milk chocolate buttons. So, but obviously in the final version of the game you're going to come with some cubes. I'd say it's 1 to 4 players cooperatively. It's an absolute blast with loads and loads and loads of Easter eggs thrown in there. It's so much fun to have a look at. We have a board that's got like I'm not allowed to say Space Invaders on there, and we got a board that's I'm not allowed to say Centipede on there as well, and I'll explain how they work in a second. So without much further ado, let me show you a little bit on how Conquest Princess plays, and let me tell you, it's a whole heap of fun. Okay, so as I say, this is the prototype of the game. These aren't the final articles. I believe that the finished article is going to have kind of dual layered boards at the very least. And I will start by saying it takes up a lot of table real estate as well. So my camera doesn't go out wide enough. I don't have enough space in this room to show you the entire table as it's set up. So I've just got 1 player board here. I've got the other 3 boards set up to one side, because you always play with 4 players. Now, in the middle here we have the tiara, and as I say, that is the temporal intergalactic armed response agency, and this is your ship on here. Now, I've set this up, we're kind of midway through a game because it allows me to then show you kind of the flow of game and how it happens. But if you look at the tiara, here's a central ship here, and you can see it's got these rooms. We have the mendery, the engineering, the wardrobe, comms, and the teleporter. And all of these rooms are connected to each room adjacent to them. So as you're moving around the ship, you can move to an adjacent area. And you can see that there are these numbered areas on here, and that's where the aliens are going to kind of come in and start invading the ship. We've got a couple of aliens in there already. They can do particularly nasty things to if you don't control them. And around it, we've got this kind of halo board, if you like. And on the halo board, that kind of gives you your status for everything. So we have the wardrobe, the comms, the teleporter, the mendery, and the engineering. And depending on which mission you're on, they're either going to start repaired or damaged, and if they're repaired you can use them as they are. It's an action to use them, but as they get damaged, what happens is it flips over and their powers become less, and then it moves away and it's got critical damage and it's unusable completely. But you can of course repair them, and where do you repair them? You go of course to the mendery. No, you don't. You go to the engineering area to then kind of fix these rooms. The menderies, of course, for your agents themselves, and that's about healing your agents. Here you have the power deck. So we have the power line, sorry, the power up decks here, and the power line, i.e. the power cards you can choose from. Then we have a discard area next to it for used power cards. Excuse me. And you can see that we have these some tokens on here as well, because as I say, it is a bag builder. And here's the bag full of these wonderful, almost look like kind of mint lozenges type tiles that you're going to be drawing out at various points in the game, and they all have kind of functions which are going to have an impact on what you pull out of there. So you have various tiles that you will eventually add to the bag. You have your danger levels as well, which is got these discs, which the more you add to it, the more difficult it gets for you. So that's kind of the tiara there. A couple of other bits as well. The event deck, which depending on the status of your game so far, you're going to draw 2 events from that, choose one, and at the end of that discard both of those, and then put them out. It's either going to be 1 or 2 on telemetry, depending on how much telemetry you've got. And you have fast fashion here, because as I mentioned, fashion is power in this game. You're going to get some of your fashion items from the power-up deck, but you also get these fast fashion cards as well. So we've moved down to an actual player board now, and as I say, I'm kind of part way through a game here, and this is the purple player here. So each player board is in 2 parts. You have this part here, which is kind of where your armor is and your move and your action tokens there, and then you have the kind of the area where you're going to place your core suit plus the other fashions that you get as well. And each character has their own kind of core ability. So for example, the purple player has an interdimensional shell, and the status is this agent space acts as a teleporter, and that's when you take the teleport action. I'll explain that in a bit. We have some armor. They start with 2 armor plates. When they move off, and then then obviously the armor goes down, but you can fix them by going to the mendery. But the more of these that go down, then what can happen is you're going to get danger. Your danger levels could increase as well. Now, I have 2 power cubes. As I say, forget the chocolate buttons. I just thought chocolate and fashion, yeah, kind of goes. And then you have these action coins here, and you're going to take up to 4 actions per turn. There is a possibility to take a 5th, but you won't always take all 4 actions. And I'll explain how that works as well. And underneath it, I've got a locked token, which is this here. And that's because on the previous round, I fired and I missed, and that means I can't use or couldn't use that particular one. But that is going to change very, very shortly. Okay, and then we have a 5th column here, because what I could do is I could use a power cube to have another action and go down there. Now, really exciting thing for this as well is you get a transformation sequence. So if I have 4 power cubes at the top here, and I take these actions in this sequence, so that would be a move, it would be an attack, a move and an engage on a particular turn, I get to transform. And when you transform for the purple player, what happens here is I get dimensional slide. And dimensional slide says, beginning with purple and moving clockwise, all agents may immediately teleport if available. So that's a transformation power, and they've all got their individual, the purple, the blue, the green, the red, all have their individual kind of powers, transformational powers. But as I say, you have to collect 4 power cubes, and also you have to do those actions, or those actions in that particular order. The space down here for your pet co-pilot. Part of this game is going out there, certainly this mission, going out there, collecting bits of the Conquest Princess and getting your pet co-pilot. So let's have a look at that board. So as I mentioned, in this particular mission, what's happened is the Conquest Princess has been broken up, and you have to get parts of her from around the various boards and then collect them onto this mission board for mission board 1. And you can see I've collected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 so far, 9 so far. 9 so far, dice, which are the parts of the Conquest Princess. When I collect them all in a column up here, then I get to take a pet co-pilot, and one of my guys gets their pet co-pilot. Each pet co-pilot can be given to 1 of 2. So this goes to either purple or to green, and it's really good because what this means is misses are now hits. That's really, really powerful. Getting those is really important. As I collect these various dice though from around the board, you can only put them in a specific order, and that means that you can only collect it. So you can get your first dice, which is on the bottom row, but then to get the next dice, it has to be of a colour and a value which is joining to a dice that you've already got. So I think the first one I got was this 2. I then got a red number 2, so that allowed me to go up there. That means I could collect then red 1, red 3, or green 2, basically. And so it becomes this real kind of puzzle as you're trying to collect the right dice in the right order to move up this board so that you can get your pet co-pilots. But not only do you get the benefit of going up there, you also get the benefit of completing a row as well here. So you get a power token, you would get a health token, you get a fast fashion card, you get to teleport, or you get another power token if you go that way. as well. So it becomes this real kind of puzzle as these bits are scattered all over the board. And because of how the game plays, you will never really play it exactly the same way twice. So it's not like it's a solvable puzzle to get this, because there's so many things that interact with it. So that's that particular board. Now, I want to show you another couple of boards. And these are the kind of boards which are planets that you're going to teleport down on, where aliens and a mechapede are going to come to you, and the aim is that you're going to try and defeat some of these aliens and mechapedes because they've got parts of the Conquest Princess on there. So on the invasion board, which is not at all inspired by Space Invaders, it's partway through a game here, so things have moved a little bit. It would normally start like that, but something's happened which has shifted the planet kind of one space to the left. And you can see that it's got these aliens going up here, and they will have some of these dice on here, and remember, those dice are part of the Conquest Princess, and they will go on the mission board so I can get my pet co-pilots and of course rebuild the Conquest Princess for the subsequent missions. You can see I've already got a few hits on here, because what happens on here, you've got two spaces, which is this space here and here. You're going to teleport onto those spaces. Look at that wonderful, wonderful acrylic mini, by the way. That's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely glorious. I love the acrylic minis in this. You can see you've got dice on various spaces. Now, what I've got to do is I can only shoot the aliens from bottom to top. So to get to this one, I've had to shoot these two first. If I was then had the cannon under this space, I could then shoot that, collect that number 2 dice. If I had that dice obviously on the pet board, on the mission board, if I had the dice available to me. Remember, you couldn't get them if they're the dice colour and pips join a dice that you've already got. So you're going to kind of shoot up from these spaces up here and try and get those. But what's going to happen is, invariably in the invasion stage, what's going to happen is they're going to shoot back at you. Now, if you're still in these areas, you're protected. That's okay. But if you're not in these areas and you're going to have to move out at some point, because of course I need to collect dice elsewhere, then if I'm not protected, then what's going to happen is they're going to cause damage to me, etc. So it becomes particularly difficult. As I say, it's not Space Invaders. It's inspired by Space Invaders, of course it is, and the board will reset itself as well. I think it starts with 2 lines that are open, 2 lines that are blank, and then throughout the game certain things are going to happen, which means that you flip them over to the occupied side, move them to the top of the board, and slide them down. Really natty little thing. You can only teleport into and out of these spaces here, so you've then got to work out moving around the board, and this bottom board is going to shift kind of left and right and centre itself throughout the game as well. So that's how that board works. Let's now have a look at the board, which is called Mechapede. And if you're a fan of 80s arcade games, I'm sure you can work out exactly what that means. So the Mechapede board works in a similar, but not exactly the same way as the kind of the Invaders board, if you like. And again, I have a couple of these wonderful characters down here. Again, wonderful acrylic standees down here. And you're going to teleport down here, and you're going to try and shoot at the Mechapede again to try and get the dice that are off there. And you can see that there are there's a few on there fairly high up, and again you've got to move upwards to get that. The difference about the Mechapede is every time you shoot, or in most times that you shoot, there's an arrow on there, and whichever one is on there, that's going to move the board left or right. So it's going to start moving these kind of backwards and forwards as well, and there's some aliens at the top which of course are going to shoot. And at the end of, well, on certain events, should I say, the Mechapede may well, on any of its heads that haven't been attacked as of yet, are going to drop goo onto the planet, and that's not a good thing. You can nudge this, so as well as an action, you can nudge it and start moving the board left and right, but this becomes a slightly different puzzle to the Invaders piece. So what you've got, if we go back to kind of the overall look of the game now, is you've got your player board that you're trying to manage. You're trying to get fashion for your player board. You're trying to make the optimal moves on everything else that's out there whilst maintaining or repairing your armor. On the Tiara, what you have is you've got these invaders coming in, and they're going to damage the ship, or maybe even damage you if there's nothing left to damage on the ship as well. So you've got the ship management side of there as well. That's where the power cubes are stored, and the power-ups are from there as well. And you've got the danger level on the Tiara, so you've got to manage this, which kind of links into everything else, because a key part of that to get down to the planet is the teleporter, and you can only teleport from a space that's got that symbol to a place that has that symbol, unless you are the purple player. And then if you're a purple player, any space that the purple player is on acts as a teleporter. So that's really good as well. So we have the player board, which you're managing. You're trying to get your upgrades on. We have the tiara, which you're managing. You're trying to stop getting damaged and keep repairs there. And you're trying to get these extra tokens into the bag as well. You have the invader board, where you're trying to shoot the aliens to get the pieces of the Conquest Princess and not take too much damage yourself. And you have the mecha board as well, where you've got to try and, again, get the pieces of the Conquest Princess so you can get your pet co-pilots out, rebuild the Conquest Princess, and do the next mission. And there's a lot, as I say, that really, really nicely ties together. So what we'll do now is that's kind of an overview on all the various component parts there on this standard mission. What we'll do is I'll just talk to you about the individual powers that each one's got, and then we shall discuss the game itself. So we know that the purple will act as a teleport for a teleport space for other players to teleport on there. The red player, it says when you take a shoot action, you draw 2 tiles. Normally you just draw 1, and then you can choose 1 and return the other. The blue player says, as a starter, so at the beginning of their go, they can give any agent a power cube or return any hit tokens back to the bag. And that's really important to keep that bag stocked with those. And then the smart armor 2 on the green one means that engage actions do not end your turn. You see, as we go through the turns, I'll show you the various actions. For anybody other than green, an engage action, if you take an engage action, then it's going to end your turn. Now, all of these powers apply to these agents, or you can share their power if you're on the same space as them as well. So you have this wonderful kind of play in place where you're trying to work out the optimal way of either using your powers or an agent in your same space so you can get the most out of your turn. So let's go through kind of a round and I'll show you how it plays. So if you go back to the player board, as I say, you take kind of up to 4 turns on most goes. You may get to take a 5th turn, but sometimes you may not take as many as 4, because if you take that engage action and you're not the green player or sharing a space with the green player, it's going to end your turn. And the actions you can take are denoted by these action tokens here. So the first thing we're going to do at the beginning of each round, other than the first round, you obviously skip this phase because you haven't had any actions up till here, is to determine the lead agent. And the lead agent amongst the 4 agents is the one that has the least amount of coins and tokens in this area here. Now I've got a coin that's locked over a token on this, and the reason for that is that I got a miss on one of my goes, and that goes and stops you using it for a turn. So say for example, I don't know, on this round, on the round that's just gone, I did a shoot action there and I got a miss. That would go there, and then at the end of this kind of as you're setting up for the next round, I would lock that space out, but that space has already been locked out, okay? So you would count up who's got the least amount of tokens and coins on there, and that would go as the first place. So let's just assume that, just for the sake of not showing you every board, that the purple player's got the least amount of coins on there, with coins and tokens, with 2. We've got 2 power cubes up there, so we're not ready to transform just as yet. So the first thing we're going to do is, after determining the lead agent, is then do an event. And the event is going to be choosing from these here. So because my telemetry is still there, so I've got telemetry 2, because that is still there, that means I can choose from 2 of those. If this was damaged, it would be telemetry 1. I'd only get to choose from 1 of these. And the various icons on here, you're going to take them from left to right, so I choose which card I want to choose from here. So let's choose this card right here. So this is the card we've chosen. You can see it's got all 3 areas on here, so I'm going to have to do all 3 of these. The first one is the invasion board, so that's the Space Invaders type board, and it says to move it 1 square to the left. Well, my board is already moved to Oh, it's to the right, actually. It's moved. So, yeah, that's going to move it back into the center. So, that's okay. I kind of need to be into the center to get some of the dice on there. Then all of the aliens on there are going to attack. Well, fortunately, I'm on a cannon space. So that means I can't get damaged on there because the aliens can't damage on a cannon space. So that's kind of good. So that recenters my invasion board, and means I don't get any damage. Then we move on to the tiara phase. And you can see it's got this number 8, then it's got all aliens attack, and it's got a number 4. Well, the numbers 8 and 4 represent spaces on the tiara. So let's move to the tiara board. So it's really important that you play these cards in sequence top to bottom, because of course it can have a massive effect on what you're looking on, what happens on there. And at the top there it says we're going to place one on number 8. So we're going to place an alien on number 8, which is up there. Then what's going to happen is it's going to attack. Now, if I had any agents in any of these sectors that had an alien in it, that agent would take damage. There are no agents in sectors up there, so I'm kind of free of agents taking damage. But unfortunately, what that means is the ship is going to take damage now. And this is where these various parts get damaged. So we look here, that's in wardrobe. Wardrobe is 4. So that's going to go now to be damaged, which reduces it. So in wardrobe, what you could have done, if you took an engage action in wardrobe, is I could have add a power-up tile to my tile bag, or reshuffle discard power-ups into the deck, which obviously kind of extends the life. Unfortunately, that's now damage, which means that it's slightly less powerful. It means I can discard the power line and I may not power up. Wow, that's going to need to get repaired. So up here in engineering, we're moving away from repairing any ship sector or add the Titan tile, which is kind of a wildcard tile, if you like, into the bag. Or now it means I can only repair any ship sector except comms. So that's been damaged. And we go over to the Mendery, which was about kind of healing my agents. I could have healed 2 armor patches on one agent and the Mendery, or add the heal tile to the bag. Now I can only heal 1 armor patch on 1 agent in the Mendery. So you can see there's a real kind of crisis management up there that you've got to make sure that you're keeping on top of those. So we did that. We added a tile to number 8. We then attacked, and that's why you've got to do it in order, in sequence, because those 3 have attacked. And we're now going to add another tile to number 4 as well, another alien to number 4. So I've got to think about next round kind of doing something up there and making sure that those I'm in control of those aliens. Right, finally, over on the Mechapede, what's going to happen here is the Mechapede is going to attack. It's not going to do anything else, it's just going to attack. So we know on the Mechapede is just going to attack, and it's going to attack from every head that doesn't have isn't already filled with hits on there. And the aim of this is obviously to prevent the planet being kind of overrun by goo, and I could use a move action on any of these to kind of drop to remove a goo from there. And if I'm on a space with that, I can't take any other action. By the way, you have to remove the goo before you can take any other action. So let's have a look. We've got 1 head that's already got a hit on it here. We have 2 heads here that are going to drop goo. This isn't good. And the reason it's not good is that the planet is going to be completely covered in goo. So let's just think of it a slightly different way. Let's just say if that one, that one had been taken. Yeah, so we'd already damaged this particular alien twice. There we go. And that had been taken up. So it was only going to drop 1 goo. This head would drop a goo. There's already goo on there. Now, if there's an agent on there, what would happen is the agent would negate the goo and take a damage instead. Because that's already taken, what I get to do is choose where to put the goo. And I'm going to put that goo there. That leaves 1 goo space just here. If the planet's done, that's it, man. That's it. So I've got to think next go about moving along here and clearing some of this goo by using a move action, basically, to try and maintain that, as well as try to think about shooting those. And that's the kind of Mechapedes action done there. So we've gone through the event deck. We've done we've done our actions from the event deck. We're going to discard those. My telemetry is still 2, so I can pull out another 2 events. There we go. That's great. And let's move back to the main board and talk about the agent. So the next thing is lock and load. So at the beginning of every agent's turn, they lock and load their board based on what is on there from the previous go. Now, as we know, I'd already kind of locked this out. That means I couldn't take any action previous turn on that, and those are my previous goes here. This is great. I get to return this tile back to the bag. Say great, it's another mist tile to go into the bag. And there we go. Remember, this is a bag building game. But it also grants me a power cube, so I can take one of the power cubes on there. Now, it says may take a power cube because it may not be in your best interest to take a power cube. They can get eaten up fairly quickly by the 4 players, and ideally what you want is one player to have all 4 power cubes so they can transform. You can give them to each other throughout the game. We're going to reset all those, and this is going to give me my actions. And my actions are fairly straightforward what I can do. I can move, I can shoot, or I can engage. Remember, for the purple player, engage, because he's not a green player and not on the green board, not sharing space with the green player, it's going to end their turn. So let's move up to the main board and show you my action. So here we go. I'm down here in comms. In comms, I could return all tiles on the tiara back to the bag. That's really important if the tiara was full of tiles, because they'd be hit tiles and I want to get them back in the bag. It isn't, so I'm not going to use comms. So I think for my first action, I'm going to move. And I'm going to move up here. There we go. Fantastic. I've moved. What to do next? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shoot. Now to shoot, what I'm going to do is draw a tile out of this bag. And depending on what comes out of that tile, I'm either going to hit the alien or I'm going to miss the alien. So let's see what I get. And this is where the bag building element comes in. Oh, it's a power up, which is really, really, really good, right? Because these counters hit, so I've hit that alien. That's good, okay? But it means I get to choose a card from the power up line. So let's have a look at these two here. We have return X tiles from anywhere on the board where X equals the current danger level, which is 2, or a sniper cell. Draw X tiles where X is half the current danger levels down, choose one and return the rest. That's when I hit. So that really doesn't kind of help me at this stage when I'm shooting, because I'm still drawing only one tile because I've got that there as the danger level increases. So I'm going to choose this back action here, which is a disintegrate action. So I can return X tiles from anywhere X equals the current danger level. So that's good. That's there. So we get that there and we'll replace the power line up here with 2 more power items, and that's good. So they give me something to look forward to on that. All right, so that was my second action down here. I shot. Still got another bad guy on there. Am I going to chance it? You know what? I'm going to chance it. We're going to try and shoot again. Let's see what happens. Oh, we have a critical miss. These are horrible. So the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to place that onto there. See, the bag in the main is going to be filled with 3 types of tiles. We have a hit tile, which would have acted like the power-up tile. All the special tiles you can put in also act as hit tiles. Okay. We have a miss tile, and we have the critical fail tile as well. I've drawn out a critical fail, which is terrible. That means that my guy, my agent, should I say, has missed that alien. On normal miss, all that does is lock this space up when you come round to the next go. But unfortunately, what this means on here, not only does it lock that space up, that fires back, and I'm going to take a hit point. So another hit point from my armor is gone, which is not great, which is really not great. So do I chance it? Do I try finally for a move? Okay. No, I'll tell you what we will do instead. So we've shown you what move does. We've tried to shoot twice. We got one, we didn't get the other. Let's do an engage action. So engage allows me to do whatever is on wardrobe here. And what does this wardrobe do? Yeah. I can discard the power line. So I can reset that power line. It's not the best of moves. But let's just, yeah, not really the best of moves. That's what the engage does. Had I done the engage at any point back here, it would have ended my turn. I can return tiles. Maybe I should have done that at some point. And that space is teleport. You know what? Then we're not. I've told you what engage does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try a shoot again, and we'll see what happens. Yay, we got a hit, which is absolutely fantastic. So that hit goes on there, and that means that that alien at the end of this turn is going to get returned back to the board. So that's the purple player done. And what you would do is go around all the other players, then you would come to the end of the round, and then you would start again with your events and your determining first player, your events and your lock and load. And as you can see, there's lots going on, but it really plays very smoothly once you understand how it plays. And there we go. That's a pretty brief rundown on how Conquest Princess works. Look, I've skipped over a fair few rules. I've not gone in depth on quite a few things on here because, there's a lot going on in this game, but there's not too much. I think that's the beauty about it. Is initially when you look at it, it looks big, it looks complex, but it's not. You are limited to, in the main, kind of 4 actions. Yes, your engage action allows you to do myriad things depending on the space that you're on. Move has certain consequences as well, depending on the space that you're on. It allows you to return tiles to the bag and do other things. And collecting those power cubes is really good. But once you've gone through that tutorial mission, that Captain Ashy is marooned, then you will get the gist of how the game plays. And then after that, all you're really adding is a couple of extra mission boards, and you've got the full game there. And as you can see, the invasion board and the Mecha board all work very, very, very smoothly. What I really like about this is it's fun, and I think it's a game that's not taking itself too seriously, but provides a really good challenge. Look, I think, when you're looking at recent kind of fun-based science fiction games, one that comes to mind is Starship Captains. I really didn't like that game at all. I played it solo and I played it multiple times, and it was boring because all it became is just matching a colour on a particular planet, and I just didn't like much about Starship Captains at all. This is the fun sci-fi game that I've been looking for. It doesn't take itself seriously, but boy, does it really provide a very, very, very meaty challenge. You've got these all kind of connecting and meshing mechanisms that just work beautifully together. It's at its heart, it's a bag building cooperative game, and keeping this bag stocked with those hit tiles is really important. It's great when you get a hit on an alien or a mechapede, etc. But the problem is that takes a hit tile away from the bag, and you've got to find ways of getting those hit tiles back into the bag, because if not, you're going to be left, of course, with the miss and the critical fail tiles. And the thing about those miss and critical fail tiles is they're only out for a couple of rounds. They're out for the round that they go on your board, they're out for the round afterwards, and then they go back into the bag. So whilst you're going through all of those hit tiles, you've got and you're becoming more successful on the board, it's reducing your chances of getting more of them out of the bag. So your chances of failure start to creep up the more successful you are. So you've got to find ways of getting those hit tiles back to the bag. That's a really key part of this puzzle. And collecting the dice. You've got these dice that are scattered around, which are parts of the Conquest Princess itself, is a really neat puzzle, and it's been optimized in such a way that it becomes more difficult for you to get those dice that you need to get those pet co-pilots and get all the pieces of the Conquest Princess. And all the time you've got these alien forces coming at you. I'll say, it's got this beautiful way of combining science fiction, anime, and fashion as well. It is an absolute dream in that respect. Look, you could be a big, burly, bulky bloke who, doesn't do fashion, whatever. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. It is a game where fashion is a core principle of this, and what Seppy's done is managed to weave that into there, create this wonderful, vibrant, fun game which will be kind of, playable across kind of all genders. And I think that's the beauty about it. The kind of representation here is really, really, really good. And it's not a game that's aimed at a young audience, although a young audience could pick this up and with the help of some adult supervision play the game. There's nothing in here that's kind of inappropriate for younger people. It's just a slightly more complex game than they may be used to. But what it is a fun, vibrant, just kind of teeming with life game, and I really enjoy that. I think it's just a kind of, it feels different, it feels unique, it feels thematically linked as well. I like the mission structure, and I like the fact you can play them individually, or you can just go into the hardest mission if you want as well. And I just like the way it all links together. The acrylic standees, I think, are just, we don't want more kind of resin or plastic miniatures. I want to see more acrylic standees in my games, and these are just absolutely fantastic. Again, they just evoke a sense of fun, and this game is all about fun. I had, when I was first approached by Seppy and Will Brown, who was helping out with the promotion of this game, I thought, yeah, maybe it's not, like most people, when you read something, it feels not quite within your wheelhouse, maybe it's not for me. But as soon as I played it with them on TTS, and then as soon as I got the preview copy and started playing it myself, I just realised it made me remember that gaming can be fun, and this is fun. We get a lot of games which are very serious, and I have no problem with them whatsoever, but sometimes you just want fun. This gives me that element fun. So if you're looking for a fun and vibrant and bloody challenging game as well, a game that you're not going to win on your first playthrough, it's going to take multiple playthroughs to get even close, and every game you play is going to be slightly different. If you like the fact that it's a game that kind of embraces fashion and diversity, and it embraces just these crossing genres of sci-fi, of anime, of fashion, etc., and you like a bag builder game, you like a solo and a fully cooperative game. Now there is, so I will just say, within the rules there is an optimal solo layout. I've got it laid out as if all kind of playing all 4 characters, but it is within the rules. It plays exactly the same, but there is a different layout for solo if you wanted to use that. I just enjoy this layout. It is, if you enjoy a game that kind of crosses all those genres, looks fun, looks vibrant, chock full of Easter eggs as well, I think you could do far worse than look at Conquest Princess. And I think that, if you're a very serious gamer, again, no problem with that. If you're a very serious gamer, it's probably not going to be for you. If you like more kind of historical themes or just more serious themes in general in your games, then it's probably not going to be for you. But if you want an element of fun, you want to have almost a beer and pretzels night with your mates, then go and seek out Conquest Princess. As I say, it comes to Gamefound on the 30th of May. The link will be in the description below. I'm having a blast with this game. I think it's great. It may not be for everybody because of the themes that are involved in here, but sci-fi, anime, fashion, if you like those, then it's a dream come true for you. So, thank you very much for joining me on this preview of Conquest Princess by Seppy Yoon, and coming to Gamefound on the 30th of May, published by Fight in a Box. So if you think this looks like it's your kind of bag, then go and check out the Gamefound campaign. The link is in the description below. My name's Mark. This is Not Board Gaming. One last thought. If you can't find anyone else to play with, there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye.